Day Trading Radio presents a Briguy trading production.
Well, good evening, boys and girls. Welcome to daytradingradio.com. This is Briguy's Tools of the Trade. Just want to ask you guys if you're able to hear me loud and clear. I hope so. And it's good to see everyone in the room. Appreciate the patience with us. We had a little bit of a different start here as we took care of some other business early on. And we're going to get the show started here in just a minute. Let me clear the screen a couple things. So, as a tradition here on the show here, we've been taking some member suggestions of some websites that they find useful, and we've been sharing it out there with the rest of you. So I appreciate members who have forwarded me some websites. I have a couple of forum sections that I've asked for you guys to fill out some surveys, and you've done that each and every week, and I really do appreciate that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a couple of these. I haven't actually brought these up on the screen myself, so I'm going to also make sure that I post this into the trading room as well, and that reminds me that I'm going to have to log in from this other machine. So bear with me while I take care of that. If you take a look at the site, thanks, Gas, appreciate that. Tonight's sponsor, as we have on there, a link in front of the video, you'll see our sponsor is a company called Clip Training, and this is an outfit that I do some work with. I've got actually some close friends that run the business, and I'll show that out to you here. And what it's for is they do Microsoft Office and Windows software training. The focus is on doing video clips, training clips about 3 to 4 minutes each, and those clips are available to users on a portal that can be tracked by, let's say, an HR representative or an IT group. And it's intended to be basically a place for a user to go to before they call the help desk, before they start asking their neighbors how to do something. This is a way for that to happen. And I'll show you, if you log in, what you get access to is a whole suite of products. So for example, here you have the choices of Windows, Office, some desktop apps. This is Office. So you've got the last 3 generations of the software, Office 2010, 2007, and 2003. Right now we're working on the videos for 2013. And so, for example, if you wanted to go into Excel, let's say, and see what kind of videos were available there, then here's a sample of those videos. So now I'm logged in right now. If you guys signed up for a trial version, you'll get access to the first couple of videos. You can check it out. You'll see they're just a few minutes each, and they're very simple, very basic videos. If you're doing let's say you're doing pivot tables, maybe you've heard of them and you want to know how to do pivot tables, here you get 3 links. You can click into that, and there's the video. Starts right away.
In this lesson, we'll go through understanding pivot tables.
So I'm going to just pause that video. We don't need to play the whole thing out. But that's basically how it works. And then they've got ways to track your progress as you go through the videos. Here you see some progress of some videos that I've been looking at. And you can take exams. And if you know anybody who's an HR person, that it helps them to be able to track the progress of their users and that they're following the training. So anyway, end of the commercial. Let's get back to the regular broadcast, as we like to say. So if you guys want to check that out, please do so. So let's take a look at some of the member websites that have been sent in. And as usual, guys, I ask you in the chat room if you can just send me a private message or post my name in the room when you post something. I'll do my best to hear the tones when I'm broadcasting, but I am wearing some headphones, so I'm not always going to hear it. But if you do send me a private message, I'll be able to see it a little bit easier that way. So what are some of the websites folks have suggested? I'm going to have to resize this to fit on the screen, and hopefully this is coming up. Okay. I'll bring this down here. And as usual, I like to share these out to the members. These videos are being recorded, but I have to post them myself into the member forum. And at this point, none of these videos are being shared out to the public. So it's really part of your membership here at daytradingradio.com. It's a way for you to benefit from your membership maybe a little bit more by having these educational videos available to you. So here's a site that is related to biotechnology events, and it looks like our latest posting is from Tuesday at 8:22, and we've got a couple of references to some events, some stock patterns. Like I said, I haven't looked at these ahead of time. These were just sent in by one of our members. If you happen to be in the room, they didn't include their name in the post, so I don't have the username. But I can tell right away if it is doing what it says it's doing and providing articles on biotech events, then we should see something come up here for what took place in the last couple of days in relation to a couple of well-known biotech firms, correct? So here's an interesting regulatory event watch list of the 25th. It's pointing out a couple of FDA approvals, some decision dates, and here's a couple of names of some medications and some biotech, some pharma products that are getting announced on this date. So that looks pretty interesting. Here's trade history. Let me go in there and see what that tells us. A lot of disclaimers, disclaimers, disclaimers. Scrolling through the disclaimers. Well, looks like a lot of disclaimers. I got the terms of service. I'm not sure why that came up. I guess trade history. Oh, maybe I got to click the heading. Here we go. Trade strategy. Looks like it was opened on August 29, and they're giving reference to Alexa Pharmaceuticals, ALXA, with a bull or vertical call spread. March 13th, $4, and the March 13th, $6 calls, currently at 70 cents. And here's your update from the 17th down here below. It says the spread for the 13th, March 13 option still at 70 cents. So that didn't change. Let's see, 9.4 and 9.17. So still at 70 cents. So at any rate, again, I haven't seen a member who shared this with us, but I'm just sharing it with you guys. As far as the trade here, it looks like this would be a vertical option trade. I see you guys talking about straddles. I don't know if you're talking to this or another trade. Yeah, RJ and Kumar and Die Laughing. Appreciate the input there. So at any rate, you know, pharmaceutical stocks are ones that can have quite a bit of volatility. I know we have a lot of different strategies in the room. A lot of the members have different strategies, and I'll have to say that for myself, I like to trade options that are in low volatility and play off the news events and other types of volatility that will help drive the price. So in this case, for this pharma stock here, I don't know what the history of that particular trade is. I'm not going to take the time going into it based upon some of the comments I see in the room. So that's up to you guys how you want to take that. We see some advising not to do these kinds of trades, and there's certainly some risk involved, and that's why there seems to be a whole bunch of disclaimers on every single one of these posts. And obviously, guys, I don't know if it goes without saying or it's something I should say at the beginning of all these shows. I think we have a pretty good trading room that we understand that the risks involved in trading. We're not trying to be broker-dealers here and give you guys stock advice on your trades, but just trying to pass along some education to make your trading more eventful and more effective. And the more you know about the different strategies that are out there, you can help to minimize your risk. Right, RJ? RJ, I know, is just such a genius when it comes to trading that it doesn't even seem like a risk to him anymore. He's putting up, 300 contracts at a clip, and it's pocket change to him. The risk for him would be to take a trade and then close his eyes for a couple minutes. That's his risk, right? All right, just kidding. So let's take a look at another stock that has been shared in the room, and this one is related to a particular stock, and I'm trying to get into my tabs. There we go. So let me post that in the room for you guys to check out. And this is a site called American Bulls, and it looks like we have deer here. Now this was shared to me on the 28th of August, so I'm trying to remember back, and maybe one of you guys could help out with that as to whether deer was a play at that point. I do believe that's when the news came out from China, or at least from, let's see, Caterpillar was last week. So now I think about it, this is about a month ago, this news, so I'm not even sure how long ago that is. Let's bring up something that we had maybe in the recent news. See what we have for Apple. That's in the news just about every day. And there's a call for hold. We've got daily commentary, and we have previous buy recommendations issued on the 13th of September. We advise you to hold the stock despite the current bearish movement, give another chance to the market, and wait for the new signal. And there's a couple of patterns from today's candlestick patterns. Today a long black candlestick was formed. This shows that the prices declined significantly from open to close during the day under strong selling pressure. So actually it's kind of a neat little tool there to have the stock symbol with the analysis of the candle pattern. I definitely like to see that. So let's say if we were looking at the spiders, and they're giving me two choices, so let's click the American spiders, and there as well you have the long black candle. They're showing it to be a sell. This is a trade that I was actually looking at last week. I didn't take the trade because I didn't do enough homework on it, and that's just my own strategy that I don't like to get into a trade without doing homework. And we're getting some questions here about sites being worth the money that it is. Well, I don't know. They seem to be a subscription service. That's true. But you know what? They have advertisement as well, so they're getting some money there. And you guys can decide yourself. I'm not really showcasing the websites here as being one better than the other. I'm really just sharing them because of the members. You, the members, have shared them. So just passing them along to everyone. So if you have any other stocks that you want me to throw in here, and we could take a look at it. Just throw a couple that we've talked about in recent memory and see what these candlestick patterns are showing up as. There's a couple of similar. Did I just type the same name twice? No. Okay. Okay. Ooh, did I see what you wrote there, Dyla? And is that spelled right? Because it's not coming up. Oh, I know which one that is. That's the IPO that you referenced. Is that the Bloomin' Onion or the Bloomin'? So it seems like that one is not in the database here for whatever reason. Like I mentioned once before to you guys, when you look up things on websites, be careful of results like this with the blue and the green. It looks like you're getting results to your search because that's the way, for example, Google brings it up. But this is actually an advertisement, and you can tell here in the bottom right corner it tells you ad choices, and that's really telling me this whole square here is just one big fat advertisement. So let's take a look at a couple others. Here's Yelp. That's interesting pattern. A black spinning top. It's calling the latest pattern here, and this represents complete indecision between the bulls and the bears. I would say even this candle here from a couple days ago was a good bearish indicator going into the next 2 days, just based on that candle there. Not seeing any other stocks, so I'll take a look at maybe Baidu. We were talking about that, and here we have a spinning top in the other direction. And again, it's indecision. So now keep in mind some of these trades that we talk about in the room. If you guys do, we've got members that are in the room in different trading rooms. The options room, for example. We have an Apple scalpers room. And I think for the new traders out there, you have to realize that trading strategies vary, and that you may hear a website, for example, this one here, that's pointing out the differences from day to day and giving you some daily commentary. But if you're a day trader and you're trading intraday, then in reality, a candle like this, you could be trading from all the way at the top up here to all the way down here and back up again. It depends on what's going on during the day. So it's very interesting to take a look at some of these stocks intraday and see what they're doing. And you can make a lot of money as you're moving in and out of these trades. So Bloomin' Brands, BLMN, actually an interesting stock that Dyla's talking about right now. Actually is a stock for the Outback Steakhouse family. What are the other restaurants that they have besides Outback? I know Darden, of course, has several different companies. But the Bloomin' Brands, is that just Outback? I'm gonna change the size of the window here and maybe show you guys a couple things. I have on the screen TD Ameritrade's ThinkOrSwim platform, and I have it loaded up with a couple of studies, including the 2 stochastic studies that Johnny has in the room. And I'm going to show you here on the right side. You may notice that there's a couple of tabs listed along the side here, and one of them is live news. So if you click on that, what you're going to get is all the news stories that have been posted. Now this is an IPO, so you're going to get a lot of repetitive reference to the IPO, and it doesn't look like we have a lot of specifics about the company itself. Here's our press releases, and when I double click it, it actually moves it into another window. I'm going to bring it over, and I think we got our answer here, and that is regarding the various brands that are related to this business. What I'm seeing here is Bonefish Grill, Fleming's Prime Steakhouse and Wine Bar. That sounds good. A place called Roy's. So I don't know if that's carrying over on the broadcast very well, but there's a couple of different stores that are there. So just in demonstrating this feature here in ThinkOrSwim, this is the Live News tab that I just clicked on, and what it does is when you double click one of the stories that I had on the list earlier below the chart, and this window comes up, then it actually gives you a kind of a split screen. There's a bar here below the list of stories, and when you move your mouse to that bar, it changes into an up and down double arrow. If you click and hold on the double arrow, you can then move that frame up and down to give you either more of a list of the news items or a less list of the news items and more room for the actual story below. And this, of course, is related to this particular stock you're looking at, which I have in the box in the top left corner here, with the last price, the closing prices here, and today's change, price, and percentage. Now, once you have your list here, then you can actually click on each one, and it'll update the screen below. So this is talking about other articles here, and I can scroll through this and see some of the reports. It looks like just some filings that were done back when the company was getting ready to go public. And here's a reference to September 4th, year-over-year EPS rises, but not a lot of interest in this as of yet. I know Dial has been watching it for a while, and if you consider a place like Darden, then as a potential trade, then I'd say add this to your watch list, Bloomin', because whenever some news are coming out for one or the other, they're going to be affecting one another. In fact, let's just take a look at Darden, if we can spell it right. Darden is DNDN. Is that? No, that's Dendron. Okay, I'm going to have to use the lookup tool. DRI is the symbol. So here's Darden, trading in the 50s. I'm looking at a 1-minute chart. You can change that to a daily. Get a sense for the year. Looks like it's coming off the highs, recent highs at 57.93, just from Friday the 21st. So that's interesting what stochastics are showing here. A little pullback, as we're seeing with a lot of stocks. I'm sure going to be coming up on the system if you guys are reevaluating yourself. I saw an interesting chart yesterday. I didn't save it because I didn't think to bring it up tonight, but if I get around to it, I'll post it in the room, into the forum. Not the room, but I'll post it in the forum for you guys. And it was showing that year to date, the trading day on Monday has been a down day, and Tuesday has been an up day. So we kind of broke that trend. Well, it is a percentage, so it's just going to factor into the percentages. Today, obviously, was against the latest trends. But take a look at your charts is kind of what I'm getting at, and see what's going on with your screens. Okay, so let's take a look at one more website that was shared by a member, and again, I'm going to post this in the room as well as to the screen and let you guys form your own opinion about it. This is a site called Apple Pain, and I'm just off the name going to assume that we're making some comments on trading Apple. So not sure how much value to put into a generic blog. I mean, if this is from a member's blog, then by all means, I want you guys to solicit it and help out the members here. But just looking at the generic template here and seeing what is being offered, I'm not sure where the interpretation is being given here. Here's a cross-reference of Apple and OPEX. So I'm seeing someone in the room is pointing out that this was shared on the air before. I take it on another show. Maybe one of the shows that Joel's been doing on options. I'm not sure. Here's the October charts. I guess this is as a percentage we're looking at. Looks like call open interest and put open interest being shown. This open interest right here represents RJ. He's 750 open interest right there. He's got the full 45,000 option contracts. So if you guys are interested in keeping this below 750, he'll appreciate that. Right, RJ? Or maybe I missed him. He probably went out for a smoke. Oh, there he is. Okay. So that's interesting. Let's see what else we have here. Here's some SPY graphs. Here's the weeklies. And again, we're looking at the call open interest versus the put open interest. A lot of calls at the 149 mark and puts at the 141 mark. So that's kind of interesting. Here's a strategy for you guys to look at, and that is finding a trading range and selling the legs of this trading range. If you were, for example, to have either, well, let's just say selling two verticals, one down here, one up here, they will offset one another, so you're only required to put up, let's say if you did it at one point, then you're only required to put up $100 of margin. You might want to space these out a little bit. If you did them as blocks of 5, let's say a 141 to even 139, brought it to 2. Now you have a $200 margin. Might be interesting to see what they were worth last week versus this week, and see what you can do on a trade there. So from the surface here, just poking around on this site, it's kind of interesting. I like the graphical representation of the open interest and pointing out the peaks and valleys. Here's the monthly, and definitely a lot more puts versus calls. Here's that 140 level. I actually had a scanner that brought up the 140 level as being a potential target area by the late October. So not giving trading advice here, guys, just for educational purposes, but there's an idea there about the fact that you've got all this open interest in that same area. So I'm going to have to give this one a couple of thumbs up, because actually that's some good information there just on a couple of stocks. So I'll throw that in as a potential link for another time. And I think that's Alright, there was actually one more here. A member shared. I'm going to post this in the room. And I may have to cut off the audio here. I'm not sure if it's going to start broadcasting on us. But I'll share this in the room. Again, these are sites that have been shared by some members. And this one here, I don't know where it's coming from. Lots of commercials on the site. And the spelling, interesting, is BH for Bloomberg. That's probably done on purpose. And it appears to advertise itself as a 24/7 live broadcast. So, at the risk of sounding like I am being paranoid, I'm going to turn that off. But you guys have the link. I'm not sure if it's something that would be online right now, or if that's just something for during the day. But if you have an opportunity to make use of a tool like that, and as long as it's legitimate, I'm not going to recommend illegitimate activity on the show. But if you guys find that to be a legitimate news source, then by all means take advantage of it. Okay, so, and I could see if you've brought that up on your end, you might notice it actually has links to a few other channels like MSNBC and CNBC, SBC TV, etc., etc. So those are some good ideas of some sites that came in from some of our members back in the last few weeks, and we appreciate it. So why don't we take a look at ThinkOrSwim. I mentioned that I was going to show off a few features to you guys, so that's what we're going to do now. And I'm going to just minimize some things out of the way. And we're going to talk about something called the trade grid. Now in ThinkOrSwim, what I'll do is I'll just bring this over here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. In ThinkOrSwim, you have your main tabs that categorize all the major sections of ThinkOrSwim, and what we're looking at is the Trade tab, and then there's submenus, so we're looking at the All Products submenu. And in the All Products submenu, you've got all these different sections. What I'm going to do is pop this out. I've kind of showed this to you guys before, how you can pop out different parts of the platform and move it into different windows. So I'm going to do this just to make sure that we're not losing our resolution here on the show, and that you guys can see what I'm doing. So here we're going to bring that down so you guys can see. And let's bring up something like the spiders. So here's the typical trading tab for ThinkOrSwim, and what it gives you here is it gives you the information on the stock itself. You've got the spread, you've got the information, last, the volume, all that good stuff is here, and then down below is your options chain section. So for example, you have it's labeled here as the quarterlies, but that's basically the weeklies. Next week, or this week rather, happens to be the end of a quarter, so it's going to have additional interest from that standpoint. And the 3 here represents 3 days to expiration, so that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to expiration. Then you've got your monthlies, October, November, December are shown here, and their days to expiration. Then you have the December quarterly, and then you've got January 13, 2013, the March 2013, then the March quarterly, etc., etc. So if we go down the list here, it looks like we have options going out to December 2014. Interestingly, I think somebody showed this recently on Apple. they've actually opened up some contracts on Apple into January 2015. So as the interest continues, they open up these extra contracts. Here's Caterpillar. They were in the news recently because they found a presentation that was made by somebody, and it posted some potential figures for 2015 forecast for Caterpillar. I'm not seeing any 2015 contracts, however. So that's how that works. So what we're talking about tonight is the trade grid section. That's listed right here in the middle. And I'm going to hit the little blue arrow to drop that down. And you'll see in here is a put that's expired. This was a put from last week, so I'm going to delete that. And what I like about the trade grid is being able to pop it out. So before I pop it out, I'm going to show you this little feature here. This is a grid section. Now, we went over grids on the last show and talked about how you can set grids for your charts. Well, ThinkOrSwim kind of makes itself intuitive in allowing you to create grids in more than one way. In this case, for the trade grid, you can pick the number of cells you want to use. So in this example, I'm going to show you a 2x3 grid section, and I'm going to pop that out. So here it is. I'm going to minimize this a little bit, or I shouldn't say minimize, but just to reduce the window. And let me back up, because I'm realizing even though I popped that out, it doesn't. It looks like it still gave me another section here that I didn't want. Alright. Let's bear with this. So here we have our 3x3 grid, and what they do for each one of these squares is they're each resizable. So if you notice, when I move the mouse just below the first grid cell, it changes to an up and down arrow. If I hold click on that, I can resize it just like I did with the news items. I could take the one below and resize that as well and bring that up. And then if I scroll down to the very bottom, I can take the actual window and bring that up. So let me take and minimize this other one. I don't want you to be confused as to what you're looking at. So here we have the 9 cells, and what you can do is make this a little mini watch list. So I'm just going to throw in a couple of items here, and you can even use this if you happen to be in a couple of trades. You can use this to track your positions, and there we go. So I have that populated. Now, when this is live, and you'll notice, for example, the E-mini has populated itself here. So that's, of course, the futures market is open now. When you have this chart open in the trade grid, what you're actually getting below it are the level 2 quotes. So that's the bids and the asks. Now, what are the level 2 quotes? Just in case we have some traders out there who aren't used to looking at level 2 quotes. Level 2 quotes are the range of trades from each exchange, and on the bid side, the highest trade bid for that exchange, all the way down to the next exchange and the highest bid for that exchange, to the next exchange and the highest bid for that exchange, etc., etc. So you'll notice the exchanges here on the futures are numbered, and you have 8, 6, 2, 4, 9, etc. In the platform, they've colored the trades from each exchange, so they're showing up in different colors until you get 5 deep, and then it goes to just all black. On the ask side, you have the exchanges again, but in this case you have the lowest offer price or ask price for that particular issue. So when you sort this, the way I have it sorted, from high to low on the bid side and from low to high on the ask side, that's usually the default, you're going to see at the top here the two bids that are going on. So for example, on the futures, the bid right now is $14.39 and a quarter by $14.39 and 50 cents. Now, what does this help you do? When you're looking at level 2 quotes, what's nice is to see the bid size. So, for example, you notice there's a lot fewer bids on the 39 and a quarter, and a lot more offers at 39 and a half. So that shows you right there you've got more sellers than buyers. So that's one piece of information that you can take into account to your trading. Another piece of information is what comes after that. So as far as the other buyers, you notice it's 187, 147, 300. Those are the blocks of trades that are piled up at those price levels. Versus on the sell side, you've got 684, 605, and then you get into the 200s. So this would tell you that you've got a lot of sellers sitting out here waiting for the price to get up there, versus some buyers that are sitting out here. If you go past these couple levels, and now you see a 502. So it looks like we have some buyers sitting out at the 38.25 level. So now when you're trading futures, it might be some other things you guys will be looking at. You probably are using a DOM for your trading. In ThinkOrSwim, they have something called the Active Trader Ladder. We could look at that at another show. But the point is that level 2 trading is a way to see what's going on. If we look over here at Bloomin' Onion, or Bloomin' Brands, you notice some of these other stocks, they all cleared out, but here on Bloomin' Brands, it stuck around. So here are your exchanges and the last few bids that were still sitting on the system, and the exchanges on the offer side and the bids sitting on the system. So you notice the sizes are a lot smaller. You'll notice the spread here between 15.15 on the offer and or I should say on the buy offer, and 15.23 on the sell offer. So there's a 8-cent spread there. So that's a way for you to tell what the spread is if you need to know. But sometimes knowing all the prices that are coming after it on each side is going to help you to see the flow of the potential orders that are going on with a particular issue. So that's of potential interest. Now, getting back to why I like to use the trade grid, what I like to do is to shrink this up. So I'm going to take the bottom here and bring that up to here, and I'm going to have to pinch all of these up ever so slightly to get what I want. And if you just bear with me, I'll show you how this works. And I'm going to okay. Now if you bear with me, I'm not sure why this one is still coming up, because the last time I did this, I didn't get that top one. So let's just pretend that it looks like this, and I'll have to figure out why the rest of that data is showing up on another show. But the point is that you can then shrink this down this way and give yourself basically a little mini watch list of some stocks that you want to watch. Now, some of the information is the same as you would get on the watch list. In this case, though, you're not getting on the watch list. You usually have the bid and the ask on the watch list. In this case, you're just getting the last price. You're getting the change of the day, so that could be helpful. But if you're just trying to keep an eye on a price level, what I like to do is take this and stick this in the lower right-hand corner of my monitor. If I'm working on something else, it's good if you're not day trading and you happen to be at the office, for example, working on a spreadsheet or some emails or whatever, you can run the ThinkOrSwim in the background. You can bring up this little tiny chart here, the trade grid. You can save this, and then you can use it as a way to track what's going on with a few things in the market. Here I've populated it with a couple of indices. You don't need to use that if you want. You can throw in gold, silver, any ETFs if you want. You can throw them in. And then what you do is in the top part of this menu you have this little push pin, and let me expand this a little bit and I'll show you what's going on. So if I'm working and I click on another window, so let's say I clicked on this other window, you're going to see that the trade grid vanished, and what happened was it went behind this window that I'm working on. So now I got to go to my drop down and I got to find it and bring it back up again. If you use the push pin, then that will make this window stay on top. So now if I click something else, it doesn't matter, it's staying on top. So I can move this wherever I want it to be, and then I can click these other things. I can go ahead and expand the other things in the background, and the stuff in the background will work the way they're supposed to, but this will stay on top. Even if I go to click on the other stuff, this stays on top. So that's just a little idea of how you can use something in ThinkOrSwim and kind of modify it to make it useful for sometimes things it wasn't initially designed for. And that's just one idea. If you like the particular stocks that you've saved here, what you can then do is go into the I got to resize this to get my menu back where it was. Okay, so when you do that, what you can do is take these 6 trading grids that you have here, click onto the trading grid drop down menu, and here about partway down the list you'll see it says Save Grid As. So you can pick Save Grid As. The pop-up comes, you can give it a name, click Save, and then if I were to reset the list, try to find the reset here. No, that's the workspace. We don't want to do that. Well, let me just do it like this. Let's say we went back to 1 and we wiped it out. Alright, so let's say we started over with an empty trade grid. Then what we can do is go into here, go down our list, find the ones that we saved it under. I saved this one under Briguy 1. It's going to give me a little warning about it. I'll show that to you here. Telling you that it's going to be loading save chart drawings. It's going to affect what you're looking at. Is that okay? Yes, it's okay. And then boom, it loaded the 6 grids, and it happened to space it in the way I last had it spaced. So what I'm going to do is make one more attempt at this. Okay. Save grid as. I'm going to keep the same name, and then we're going to reset it back to 1. Wipe that out. Here we are back to 1. And now I bring it up. I get my warning. And there it is. It loads with the spacing that I set it up for. So just an idea on a way that you can use the trade grids for your system. Okay? So let's take a look at something else. Let's take a look at the chart setups. So I'm going to bring up the ES chart that we had earlier, and I'll bring this over to another window here so you can take a look at it. And in this example, you can see all the studies that are on here, and I've got the two stochastics down below. So how do you go about adding studies in ThinkOrSwim? Well, let's reset this. I'm going to delete all the studies, and I'm going to delete, let's see, when I did that, it did not drop the drawings, and I don't exactly want to erase all the drawings on my ES, so why don't we bring up something like, oh, I don't know, how about Bloomin'? Alright, so here's Bloomin' Brands, and we're looking at a daily chart, which the IPO looks like it was back on the 8th of August, so that's how much data we have here on the daily chart, starting from 1157 up to a high of 1624. Alright, so here's the daily chart, and we're getting a question in the room now about Fibonacci's. So how do you decide where to draw Fibonacci's? Well, it's not, basically you want to go from a recent low to a recent high. That's the general rule of thumb. So for example, if you're trading right now, and since you did hit a new high up here, and you did hit a new recent low down here, you could actually draw it from up at the at Monday's candle to the bottom of today's candle. If you're trying to trend this out, then since you have this first candle that printed and then it went up from there the next few days, and this level kind of held in here, then you can either draw your fibs from that first day or pick something in this level. So let's demonstrate how you would do that with Fibonacci's. Now in my particular case, I've edited some of my Fibonacci settings, so we'll show that to you in a second. How do you get to your studies? Well, you can, or in this case these are called drawings within ThinkOrSwim. So you can do it a multiple of ways. Up at the top right of each window are some settings for the style of the candles, which relate to the time frames, for example. Secondly is the drawings, and we'll talk about the drawing tools in a moment. And third is the studies themselves, like the stochastics, the TTM squeeze, and some other studies that we'll talk about in a moment. Another way to do this is down in the lower left corner, where you have a couple of zoom features here, zoom in, zoom out, and you'll see a little palm. This palm is the active tool that I'm using right now, so when I move my mouse onto the chart, you'll see it turns into a hand. That's the actual tool that's active. If I click on that active tool, I can get to a list of the drawings that are in the system that I can choose from. The third way, and the way that I use mostly, is by right-clicking on the chart. Now I have in the settings, if we go into the style and then go into settings, there are a variety of things in here that will demonstrate over time, but I want to focus on this one here. You'll see under the first tab, the General tab, in the second section, the Settings section, you'll see a link that says Drawings Snapping. So this has to do with snapping your drawings to a price level, and this is a drop down, and you can either turn off the snapping so that it doesn't, basically you can manipulate the endings of your drawings. Secondly, you can have it go to the center of the bar if that's what you'd like to do. And lastly is the OHLC. Does anybody in the room know what OHLC stands for? And RPM, I see you keep throwing that in there. I don't know if it's giving you any info on your end, but since I'm not playing music right now, it shouldn't be working, right? But at least the Songbot's not screaming at me, so that's a good thing. Okay, so we're getting the right answer here. Open, high, low, close, that's what OHLC stands for. So what I like to do as far as the right click goes is I like to point to the candle that I'm going to draw it from, and I right click, and that'll start my drawing. Now when you right click on a chart, it's not just about drawing the or adding drawings to the chart, but it also within ThinkOrSwim gives you the chance to trade from the chart. So I could actually go right into a buy or a sell here in the chart at this price level. I can do custom orders as well. I can do an alert right from here, and then for the stock symbol I'm on, I can actually do a variety of things with it as well. So we're talking about adding a single chart, so that's here near the top, and we're doing a Fibonacci. There are actually several Fibonacci choices. I'm going to be using this Fibonacci Retracements option, so I'm going to choose that, and it automatically throws in the Fibonacci levels, and I'm going to go from that low here, which was on August 28th, and I'm going to go to the high point up here. Okay, so based upon that, and I left clicked on the high point, now I've got my levels. So in the study itself, you can edit these colors and you can edit the levels. I've got the 61.8 and the 50%, the 38.2 and the 23.6 on here. So based upon this, I'm not getting any exact piece of information on the Fibonacci here as far as this retracement goes. It did cross over the 23.6, but it has a ways to go back down to the 38.2. The 50% level is interesting since it crosses right through this series of candles. So it looks like an area where there was a lot of pushing from both the bears and bulls right in that section. And then you've got this gap up, which happened on last Monday, and a lot of the markets gapped up, and then it traded off the rest of the day and actually held off the lows of the day. So that's one way to do your study. Let's delete this one. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to pick delete drawing. Let's consider this another plateau, and instead we're going to draw it from down here. Now I can see that this candle is a little bit lower than the one here on the right, so let's do the center candle. Right click and add single drawing. We'll do Fibonacci retracements. Again, go back to the high. It snaps it to us there. And now we get another picture, and that is this move from last week on the, or I should say a couple weeks ago on the 11th, up to Monday's high. It's showing today actually came down into that 50% zone. So here you have a couple other candles that actually traded around that 50% zone as well. And so there's a couple of pieces of information that could be useful here. It looks like it came off of the 50% and then moved back up. So if you were bearish on this stock, then you can make use of it to say, if this actually continues down and holds an area below the 50%, then maybe it'll come down and go into this gap area that's in here. And if it holds up within here, then maybe it'll at least come back into the 23.6 area between 1571. So these are just a couple of ideas for you guys to take a look at. I'm just going to check some of the questions in the room. I did see your comments there, Gas, and I'm sorry, but I do not have a wheel. As much as RPM likes to pretend that I have tons of money sitting around, I do not. And so I don't even know if I can mail you something with a postage stamp at this point. Maybe if I put a stamp on a balloon, maybe it'll get to you. Maybe I can get a spinner. I think I got a Game of Life around here somewhere. I can send that off to you. But sorry, and I know you were. And looking at RJ, asking about the Fibonacci is useful on a intraday. It's useful if you basically it's price levels. RJ, I mean that's really the bottom line. So it's giving you targeted price levels. from that standpoint, then you can use those price levels to see how it trades intraday. Sure, and you'll. I mean, let's take a look. Another thing I like about ThinkOrSwim, and I'm sure the other charting programs are similar. I've added this chart or this drawing to this chart in this time frame. Now, again, if you went into the settings, if you guys do not have this feature right now, I'll show you where the feature is as soon as I can remember where it's at. I think. Bear with me. It might not be with the chart options. So I'm going to go into the setup, which is the application settings, and hopefully I don't have a lot of secrets I'm giving out here. But somewhere in here is a place where it synchronizes the drawings. And forgive me for not remembering exactly where it is, but that would be the setting to look for, that you want to synchronize the drawings. What that will do is let you draw this drawing on the daily chart, and now if I switch over to a 60-minute chart, for example, that drawing stays on there. So take a look at these price levels now. We looked at the daily and how it came down to the 50%, but if you were trading this intraday, then what you might notice is how it traded off these highs. It broke through the 23.6 level. It broke through the 38.2 level. And even though it retraced a little bit, it continued back through the 38.2 a second time and went down to the 50 level. So, is that useful information? Let's look at the 15-minute. In this case, some of the volume bars are now overlapping the candles, but again, you have here's a 15-minute, broke through the 38.2, retraced a little bit, but once this candle broke through the 38.2 again, then you could have shorted it and carried it as it tested all the way back down to the 50. Let's go to a 3-minute chart. What I'm not crazy about in ThinkOrSwim is they do have these presets, but I like to use 3 minutes, so that makes me go into here, the style. I got to pick intraday. Doesn't matter the time frame. I'm just going to pick 5-day and then go to our 3 minutes. So here's the 3 minute. I'm going to pan this over, and here's your activity again. So you've got the break through the 38.2, retracement, break through it again, retracement. Look at all of this volume that came in on this one particular candle. Again, it's a 3-minute chart. In this case, because it's gray, on my charts I have this colored to match the candlestick. So since the candlestick was neither an up or a down, but basically a doji, then all that volume is colored in gray. So here's this a huge amount of volume that poured in those 3 minutes, and yet the price went nowhere. Let me see what the volume is on that. If you look up in the top here, when you hover your mouse over the candles, you'll get the volume, and I can see it's 32,678 came through at that level. In the next 3 minutes, it was 1,100. So, interesting price level. In fact, that's another drawing we can add. Price level. And let's stretch it out a little bit. I'm going to put it right there. It happens to be 1553 at that price level. And the top is confirming that it's the open, high, low, close, all those across the board. So there's your price level. So once it broke through there, it traded around sideways for a little while, and as soon as the action pulled itself away from it, then it just took a little nosedive down to the 50% line before it pulled back off towards the end of the day. So that's how the fibs can help you in analyzing the price levels for a daily and then comparing that against the intraday trades. So let me just take a second to look at some of the comments here. I see Greenstream mentioning about the chart settings, general left side. I happen to be on, and there it is. Okay, thank you very much. Using a secondary monitor that's a little dated, and so on my end the contrast isn't letting me read it too well. I hope it's coming through on your end a little bit better than on my end. But yes, down here under settings, right below where we were with the OHLC, is the synchronizing of the drawings right there. So that's the checkbox you want to put on that will allow you to add a drawing to one time frame and then have it carry over to the other time frames. Thank you, Greenstream, for sharing that with us. Appreciate it. And let me just scroll back a little bit. I did see some comments here from RJ, and the question was, have you found it to be accurate in shorter time frames on stock Briguy? And based upon your last question, I think you're kind of getting into a trading method, and that would be, like you're saying, to track the first half an hour or hour of the activity. And I don't exactly have an answer for you on that. I think it's different for every stock. And I see you mentioning that it was answered already. Maybe I did with this, or maybe one of the other members had answered you. But in my opinion, you're really looking at, you got to look at each stock as its own beast, so to speak. So you're going to have certain ones that have kind of become their own trading monster, as it were. Apple, for example, is pretty much its own trading monster. Or Google, Amazon, even things like the futures. You know, they have their own group of traders that are always looking at them day by day, and so they're going to start to show patterns within patterns. And so if you happen to see people talking about, let's say, the 30-minute setup or the 60-minute setup, you know, Johnny, of course, talks about the 950 reversal all the time. When I first heard him talking about that, I started Googling 950 reversal. And, you know, it wasn't exactly, there's not exactly a bunch of articles out there that talk about it. It's just something that he's picked up on. I'm sure some other traders have picked up on. It's just not exactly a set concrete rule, but certain things that we look at it, they do behave that way. So on certain stocks, sure, you could probably throw a fib on there. In my case, I know when I'm a little more focused than I've been lately, what I'll do is I've got my list of stocks I'm interested in. Maybe I've narrowed it down to 2 or 3 that I want to start a position in. And so, yes, I could have those price levels set, ready to go early on, wait until the initial flush out, barring any other news that's going on, let the stock have its initial run, and then start to watch those price levels and see where it goes. And RJIC mentioned about support and resistance, the pivots. Yeah, I mean, these are all different kind of studies that even I'll use. What I'll do is I'll save this for another show where we'll talk about some of the studies that I have that I use. I'll leave these studies on here, but up here under studies you can have what's called study sets. So you'll see that I have a list here that I've been playing around with, and the one that I have, now I'm trying to remember what I called it. Might have even been this Netflix study. No, that's not the one. No, that's not the one either. what I think's happened is I've started adding so many different studies that I've kind of lost the ones I had on there before. Let me go over to my other screen, and I'm going to save my study set. And now come back here and load my study set. Where'd you put it? There it is. Okay. So this is my general study set that I've been playing around with, and I've thrown the Ichimoku on here. I've got the volume profile on here, using the stochastics, the MACD, and also the TTM squeeze. So I've just been playing around with this, trying to understand the relationship between these different studies. I know that the Apple scalpers out there have been using the Ichimoku for quite a while now. I'm a little behind on learning that, and I know it's just going to be a matter of time that I'll get it figured out. And I want to do a shout out to McCrocken for helping me with a couple of private lessons on it. Really appreciate it. It's another example of the members here at Day Trading Radio. And at any rate, what you can do is I'll show you how you can add some of these studies. For example, let's take a moment to show you that. So here's the studies button, and there's a quick study option. You can just throw a study on there real fast, and these are a bunch of brief ones. Then you have the add study option, which is a ton of the full list of a couple hundred studies that are in here. Pretty much any study that you guys have come across is actually in here. And I hear what you're saying, Kumar. The Ichimoku, you pretty much can use that on its own. That's probably true. If I can learn it well enough, I'm sure I'll be at that point. Then you've got the section here. Alright, so after add study is the edit study. So I'm going to bring up edit studies, and here is the full listing of all of the studies I have right now on the chart. So this is how they split this up. On the left side is your list of studies, and there's an up and down arrow. You can scroll through this entire list. Okay. Then you've got things called strategies. So these are similar to studies. They just have a little bit more of a focus. And then you've got your sets. These are the ones that I've saved over time. Study sets. So in order to add one to your charts, over here on the right are the ones that are on the charts. So for example, SimpleMovingAvg, that's pretty simple enough. There's 4 of them that I've added, and I've actually been using the 150 as well, so let's grab that. So I can scroll down to the S's and find that SimpleMovingAvg, or I can start to type it in the box up here, and it gives it to me by matching the letters. I don't even have to type the full name. And then I can either double click this, I can click one, and at the bottom I can pick add study, however way you want to do it. So let's double click, and it's going to show it down here. Going to change the time frame to 150. I'm going to change the color to black. That's not one of the 9 default colors, so I'm going to pick the select button, and this will give me the full gamut of colors to choose from. I'll pick the dark square, and now I've got a black. I'll change the value of the thickness to 2, and I change the style. I've been using this as a dashed line. I'm going to hit apply, and now if I move this down below, I can see in certain places where the black line has crossed through the pricing levels. So that's my 150, and because my 200 is Oh, my 200 is black. That's what it is. My 150, I was using this gray color. Let's try that instead. There we go. So now we got the 200 and the 150. And now to move this up in the list, all this does is just kind of group these things together. So I'm going to click on the 150 average and I'm going to hit the move up button. And then as far as editing studies, if you actually go into the pick the study, and if you change the, let's see, I'll just hit right click, you could pick view source, and that'll launch the ThinkScript Editor. And so in here is the actual formulas for that particular study. So if I wanted to, I can take the 4 studies and put them all together and change some of the variables around so they all come out separately with their colors, and I can do it all together as one study that I can add to the chart instead of having 4 different studies that I'm adding. But this is a fully functional scripting program, as most charting software has, that you guys can use in your platform. I know Gas was demonstrating some really interesting formulas for his automated trading. I appreciated that on his show. If you guys haven't had a chance to watch that, I highly recommend it in the Traders Forum. Here's the Ichimoku. If you want to see what that looks like, here you've got, look at that, just a few lines of code. Of course, you have a couple of built-in formulas, but you can then take this information. If you wanted to write your own custom study, you can use this as a basis for your study, tweak it around in the script. You also, of course, down below have the options for the different variables. There's your Tenkin, your Cajun, the span A and B, and the Chiku, where you can change the settings, make them thicker, thinner if you want. So that's all there. And then once you have your group of studies, in this case I've got the MACD, stochastics. Once you have your study the way you want it, you can pick this Save Set option, and then either overwrite an existing study or give it a new name. I'm going to overwrite the one I did earlier. And now that's my permanent study. That'll show up for if I want to load that at another time. So that's basically how it works. You'll notice the Fibonacci study, it went all the way to the right. Now if I right click on the drawing, I called it a study, it's a drawing, and I pick Edit Properties, just like with the studies, there's a whole listing of options here for the drawing. And I happen to change mine to automatically have a right ray of yes. So the right side of the drawing normally only goes out for a couple of days. In this case, I have it going out all the way to the right for infinity and beyond, as it were. So you can change that to no, for example, and then notice what's going to happen to the study. As I'm going to move this off to the side, and I'm going to hit the OK button, and you'll notice the study just kicked itself back to the 24th, which was Monday's date. So it just ran it for basically a couple of weeks, from the 11th to the 24th. And if I right click, I have the option here, extend to right, extend to left, edit properties, and I could go in and do the right ray, the left ray, etc., etc. I can name it. If I happen to do a study on a particular day, I can do that. And another part that I like is down here. What I've done is this has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 different Fibonacci levels that you can use, and you can set all the percentages here. What I've done is turned off a few levels that the extensions. You can set all your colors, your styles if you want, and your thicknesses of the lines. And then down here is the trend line, the line that connects from the low to the high. You can set a particular color for that, and a thickness and a style that you want. And then once you get it the way you like it, you can click this option down here, Save as Default. then when you say OK, any future Fibonacci drawings you do will have these same settings. So that's what happened to mine. You might look at your Fibonacci settings. They'll be a little different. This was after watching a webinar somewhere along the way. Happens probably to you guys too. They give a suggestion for some settings, and I made the change, and now it's there. So let's take a look at the members room here. I think I saw a couple of questions popping along here. There's some recommendations on some other websites, and if you guys don't mind posting those also to the member forum, I'd appreciate it. We have a section there for member suggested websites that if you like, you can share that with other members to enjoy. So I did see a question here from Racker. He asked if the ThinkOrSwim platform has any automation or an ability to check out what if studies as in TradeStation. I'm not familiar with TradeStation as far as what you mean by a what if study. If you're talking about back testing, there is back testing. My first point I can make to you about the automation is that ThinkOrSwim itself is not an automated trading platform. And good night to Die Laughing. Enjoy your dinner. And actually, it's funny you're saying that because I can hear my wife pulling in at the same time. So I'm sure we'll be doing dinner in a little bit. So, Racker, if you're talking about automated trading, there is a program that's put out by the people from ThinkOrSwim and TD Ameritrade. It's called Prodigio RTS, and that's the website, I believe, prodigiorts.com. I did bring that out on the last show. You can take a look at that. It's in the members forum. And that is a complete automated system. I like it for the fact that not only can you write your automated steps in a script form, but it also uses flowcharts. It uses actual flowcharts with arrows and pointers and connectors to different ones, so that you can basically, in a pictorial way, show how you want to build the trade. And in fact, since I'm mentioning it here, I'm not trying to plug these guys, but what the heck. Let's see if I have the right name, and I think I do. And let me see if I can get a picture here that's a little more there's video archive. Well, not really getting what I'm looking for, so what I'm going to do is just kind of shrink this window down. I don't know if this comes out on your end looking any better, but this is an example of the flowcharts that they have, if you can see that on your end. And all those connectors are basically just if then else statements type of thing. And you can then build your scenarios the way you want, and then have a buy trigger at the end of the scenario, or a sell trigger, however way you want to do it. And then that software, I know, has some back testing that you can run it and see what the results would be, and then you can tweak it. And of course, it's filled with a forum, and there's all kinds of goodies that you can play around with in there to back test it, use other people's formulas and trade ideas, and see if they work for you. So it's, like I said, from the same folks that put out the ThinkOrSwim. Unless they've been bought out. I haven't really been keeping track of that, but I did initially watch a few of their webinars, and I was invited from TD Ameritrade to go to it. I think there was another question. From Racker, right? You were saying about the strategy. So the what-if strategies, again, I'm not clear on how TradeStation makes use of that. And what I'm going to mention to you guys right now, because we're going to wrap up the show here, and I appreciate everyone tuning in. We'll bring out some other features. We'll get into the alerts on another show. I don't want to keep you guys up too late watching me go on about the same thing. But we'll bring out some how to do alerts at another time. And what I wanted to mention to you guys is that I'm lining up some members who make use of different trading platforms and would like to demonstrate them here on the show, as you've seen me doing with ThinkOrSwim. We've had a lot of people that I know are familiar with ThinkOrSwim, but I'd like to bring in some people familiar with some other products that I don't know so much about, and that'll give us a chance to compare them and see why they found their tool to be so useful. So we're working on lining that up for a couple other platforms, and I'm not saying that you have to come on next week. It's not a pressure thing like that. We'll take some time. Pick a date in the future and get you lined up for doing that. I have a link that I posted in the announcement. You may have gotten the email earlier. So there was a form that was there, and let me see if I can grab that link off the home page here and give it to you guys again in the room. If you guys can just go ahead and take a look at that form, you can tell me about your primary trading platform and maybe a secondary platform. That will help me to know what's the more popular ones that are out there, because we'll certainly look to focus on those platforms on future shows. And then if you're interested in coming on one of the shows, you could just do 15 minutes, half an hour, and just show us a few things that you found useful. You'd be surprised. There might be some things that you've been using all along that you've picked up on an article you read or a webinar that you attended and that you found very useful that another member never thought to consider doing. So by you bringing it out to the other members, you'll really be helping out one another and be able to let us all benefit from your knowledge, if you're willing to do that. I know some people, they don't feel comfortable coming on the show. They don't want to put themselves out there for, I don't know, scrutiny maybe. Whatever. Please, if you've been a member of the site long enough, you know that we're not looking to put anybody under the spotlight. We pick on RPM a lot, but that's because he's always around. But we love him, and RPM's been putting himself out there for a long time, helping out with various things, and by him doing that, it's helped other members to step up and do things. I know for myself that's the case, and I'm sure it's that way for others, to contribute to the site and contribute to the growth of daytradingradio.com. So take a look at that link if you can, and give me an honest opinion about some of the platforms that you use and possible platforms that you'd like to share with other members. RPM says he's coming up on 4 years next week. So 4 years. So that means RPM, you're at the old renewal rate, right? Because daytradingradio.com, $29.95 a month, but you get locked in when you've been a long time member. All right, and Racker, I appreciate you giving me some feedback. I did see you fill out the form there, and I actually look forward to another show where I'll be highlighting some of the things that you suggested. We'll take a look at them and see what we have. But please, if you'd like to come on, I see the platforms that you mentioned. I won't get into them right now, but if you'd like to highlight them, I could tell you the primary one that you mentioned there and the secondary one are two of the ones I'm actually looking at right now, and trying to get familiar with so that I can highlight them on another show. But I'd certainly feel much more comfortable having a member that's using them day by day who can come on and show it off a little bit. We're not trying to sell tools here to one another. I'm not highlighting one particular broker over another. Some of these tools you can use with multiple brokers, so it's up to you how you like to do it. But if you'd like to come on, then let me know. You can send me an email. You can send me a private message in the members forum, and we could talk about it. And the same goes to everybody else. We've seen some of you come on shows with RPM, and appreciate that. And if you'd like to come on and showcase some software, that'd be great too. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll just put on a couple songs and maybe give the song bot a chance to see if he's picking up on anything that I'm doing. And if not, then we can we'll just deal with that another time, or as RPM says, 2 in the morning. That's always a great time to be doing some of this stuff, right? He says not working. Is it any chance, RPM, that it's a setting that I need to make on my end on the last FM? Yeah, I'll hit play here, and what I'll do, RPM, is I'll put this on a radio option, so it's going to play songs that are not necessarily my songs, but I'll let it play out, and that's it. So thank you guys. I appreciate the feedback and the thanks. I know some of you guys have been eating dinner while the show's running, and that's fine. These shows, again, just as a note for you guys, they're not something that RPM controls. I know he can certainly hack into my computer in a heartbeat and grab any of the files, but in reality, any one of us who broadcast these shows, the show stays on our side, and we then need to upload it to the members forum. So I got the episode from last week done yesterday and posted in the forum. I'm trying to be a little quicker with my turnaround time, and it is what it is. But we'll take this episode, I'll strip out the songs, and I'll get it posted up in the forum as soon as I can. And you guys, if you missed any part of it, you can play it back. If you know any member who might benefit from some of the features, feel free to let them know about it so they can check it out. And as I mentioned when I do the posts, it is posted on YouTube, but it's not searchable. So it's a members-only feature. Of course, if you did share out the link to it, somebody else could watch it. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your emails, but just so you guys know, those are there really for the members, and that's so far that's the way I've been saving them. So thanks again, everyone, and appreciate the feedback. Take a look at that survey I posted in the room so we can get set up on some future shows. This is Briguy, Tools of the Trade, Episode 5, in the books. Good night, guys.